Hi, everybody. Radical Gardener. Today is Friday. I believe it's the 17th. I have a lot of great stuff to share with you and talk to you about the garden. I met with the permaculture guy. We have the plan, and it's pretty terrific. But I haven't really posted because I'm collecting my thoughts. I mean, what is going on in this country and the shutdown? And remember, it's the states, it's the governors that have made those decisions, not the president. So, nowhere to point the finger if you're pointing it. And it's absolute BS. I have very strong opinions about this. I have spent so much time on Facebook that it is actually like interfering with my life. But it's a battle that needs to be fought. And I guess I could go on my YouTube channel and just fight that battle. But I have quite a few people that follow me on Facebook, or I follow, or we follow each other, and so that's where it just seems like I'm the most useful. But we have to start with I call her Whitler, and so you know what that's for. Because if I say what I actually want to say, this gets taken down. Of Michigan, she is the most vile, horrific, Stalin-esque leader that I think in the country. I mean, she's really, really something special. And the 15th, when it was Operation Gridlock, I can't even tell you how proud I was. I get very emotional about this, but I was so, because I've been railing against this woman for over a year. I just know who she is. She used to work for Soros. She is really evil. She's evil. And I was really emotionally invested in this. It's something that I daily would talk about and I would post about, and I just never let up on it. And I've been on Michigan list, and I know I don't live there anymore, but it's like, it's where all my dearest friends are. It's so much of my life. It's a place that, I have very deep roots. My grandfather was, instrumental in starting the unions. My mother remembers handing sandwiches up to him through the windows of the sit-down strikes at GM. I have a very long history of, people in my family that were activists, and, something kicked in me. It was like their blood, the DNA of my family was just, really charging me. So, I'm lucky I'm down here, because if I was there, I would just be out of control, really. And I'm not following any of the protocols, because they're all bullshit. And so I'm going to kind of come from this place now. I'm sharing some information that like Erica Khan, who's a former astronaut, she's a dear friend. Some from Dr. Snell, who's a good friend. And these people, they know what's going on. From everything from doctors lying and padding the numbers, and many of them are doing this. They make upwards to like $35,000 if they bring in a COVID patient and they treat them. I've got my own opinions on what I even think that is. I think we all had it in November, December, and January. I think it was released into the public. And I'm not looking at it as a virus. I'm looking at it as more like something that's very flu-like. I've been tested. I test through my own, people who are very, very good. It was a BRT protocol. I'm not going to go into what that is. It's just very sophisticated. It's used mostly in Europe, and I'm one of my dearest friends. She's a practitioner with it, and she's brilliant. And so I'm immune, and my husband's immune. So, we know we're fine. But anyways, all you need is a good immune system, and it's very easy to really work on that, and so on and so forth. But I'm not going to get into your self-care. What do you need to do? What I am going to talk about is that the loss of freedom, which is absolutely unacceptable. And the way that I deal with it is I walk around with a copy of the Constitution, and if anybody tells me I can't go somewhere, I just pull that baby out. And I had one woman, and when I'm mad, I'm scary and I don't yell, but I'm determined. And, I spent a lot of time in the music business. I had people in my band that were real heavyweights. They were tough. They came from Sly Stone's band. I lived in the inner city of Detroit. I am like peace, love, and tie-dye these days, but I got a long history of being able to take care of myself and to not mess with me. So, anyways, I'm going to read a couple of things here that I posted on Facebook, and so let me get to them. They're right here. I am actually prepared for this. So let's talk about, let me put the view thing on here so it's full screen. There we go. All right, let's see if I can make that even bigger, huh? That would be nice. How do we make that bigger? Okay. So here we go. And I'm sorry I'm not looking at the screen when I read this, but I'll slow it down and so that you get my drift. Okay, here we go. A little history for us to recall. So this comes from a guy on Facebook who I really like. I went to high school with him and we reconnected through Facebook. So, hey, we're just disagreeing. That's all that's going on here. But this is what he says. A little history for us to recall. In 1918, Philadelphia prematurely ended its quarantine from the Spanish flu to throw a parade in order to boost morale for the war effort. Some 200,000 people lined the streets on that late September day when within 72 hours, every bed in Philadelphia's 31 hospitals was filled and the city ended up with 4,500 people dying from the flu or its complications in a matter of days. Now, what is that proverb? Those who cannot learn from the past are condemned to repeat it. So I'll tell you what I say about that. Actually, if you look on the CDC site, who, believe me, that's saying something, these people posted it, and more, every pandemic ran its course. It was never a vaccine that eradicated it, including polio. What ended the pandemics was improved hygiene. The vaccines came in after the disease virus was waning. Now, your example would be maybe somewhat pertinent if this was a true pandemic. It's not. It has less fatalities than the flu. And as it turns out, what is actually causing more deaths is the use of the ventilator and drugs that are being administered, which is why the president and many more are pushing for a more natural remedy like hydrochloroquine. The greed and corruption that began with George Simmons and Morris Fishbein 100 years ago lives on today in the likes of Anthony Fauci, I never say his name right and I don't care, and Bill Gates. Our system is a disease-based model that thrives on people's ill health and keeping them in a state of ignorance and dependence. And yet enough people tolerate it and even embrace it that it continues. How many people right now are putting their trust and faith in them to develop a vaccine that's going to end this crisis, when for the last 30 years, every single animal and human model for coronavirus vaccine has shown the presence of antibodies from a vaccine makes a real-life exposure infinitely worse. The vaccine makes it worse, okay? A vaccine is not going to solve this problem because it's not an antibody-mediated disease. It's one of immune dysfunction and dysregulation. Maybe we need to take the point. Why are so many people suddenly so susceptible in a family of viruses that we've co-evolved with and adapted to for millennia? The point is, the more we are exposed to what is out there, the more we adapt, right? You use the Spanish flu. I use Captain Cook and the Polynesians. The fact that they were not exposed to any kind of virus is likened to what they were, was what the exposure was, the death of them, because they'd never been around it, right? Our answers are not in distancing ourselves. Our answers are in an educated population on nutrition and building immune systems. The information is there if one takes the responsibility for their own health. Da-da! And some of that comes from Erica Khan, again, former astronaut. Brilliant woman. I'm always blown away by what Erica, and she's a real go-to for me. All right, so here's another thing. The plastic that these store owners are putting in front of their registers. And every time they do, I call them out. So now what they have is plastic in front of the register, right where your mouth is. Home Depot is famous for this. Let's see, who else is famous? I mean, a lot of places. Mom and pop places. I mean, a lot of them are. So now you've got plastic right where you're putting your mouth that's collecting germs all day long. How is that smart? How are gloves smart? You have germs on gloves. Just wash your freaking hands. Hey, when this first thing supposedly broke, we were told just wash your hands a lot. And all of a sudden, soap didn't work. And now you have to wear plastic gloves. But let's go to masks. I had a woman ask me why I don't wear a mask. And I told her that it is none of her business and I'm not going to rob a bank, number one. But now I've got this. And I have my little things now printed out. And so, because I go where I want to go. And you know what? I got to tell you, Florida is pretty damn chill. I mean, it's a pretty cool governor down here. And, in Michigan, I would just be arrested. I just would be arrested, I'm telling you. But I would take him to court because it's against my civil rights and my constitutional rights. I have the right to go anywhere I want to go if it isn't private property, right? Okay, so let's move on to this. Let's talk about the mask. Okay, so this comes from Dr. Judy Mikovits, and a lot of people are posting her. She's really outspoken about what's going on. There's a lot of people you can listen to that talk about how viruses work and why this is not, such a contagion. Okay, so let's go to this. The mask in stores and on walks outside and while driving in your car is mind-blowing to me. Do you not know how unhealthy it is to keep inhaling your carbon dioxide and restricting proper oxygen flow? I honestly cannot believe how non-logical we have become. We as a society seem to just listen to perceived authority without question. I don't see a whole lot of critical thought happening here, I'm sorry to say. Boy, am I with her on that. I always say that I don't believe anything. I have to do my own investigating. It has to make sense to me. And I said, I didn't put it like this. I said, why would I put a mask on? So that I have something where I breathe, creating moisture because I'm breathing on it. And now I'm building the bacteria and the germs. And now it's just a bed for growing anything that may be unhealthy. Why would I do that, right? So, I can go on and on about my constitutional rights. I can do all of that. And I believe that this thing is almost over. And we know there was a real agenda here. We're seeing there's ties between Fauci and the frickin', WHO. We know that the director of the WHO is a former communist. Who actually has blood on his hands for crimes against humanity. These are not the good guys, right? We know Bill Gates is into depopulation. We know his dad was president of Planned Parenthood the same time Margaret Sanger was there, and really the whole agenda was to eradicate the black race as much as they could. So that's who these people are. Anyways, I just want to let you know where I am. I'm going to go ahead and do now a gardening video. I'm going to load this up. It's going to be about an hour. But I love you all. I'm sending you a ton of love. And just be alert. Don't put up with any BS. And hang in there. Okay, everyone? Okay, you take it easy.